And all I wanted to do was just to be dead. Then it kind of dawned on me that that might not be a good move. That if I'm learning anything from this experience is that there's a much worse place than earth. It's the place where God and Satan collide. That's a very bad place to be. Very bad place to be. At some point, I submitted. Never used that word before in my life till that night, but I knew that's what I had done. I submitted. I said, I think I just better submit to what's going on and let the better man win. Because that was the only thing I had left to do. And the second I submitted, remember I said that teaching was the power of submitted weakness? The minute I submitted, it moved faster. The process, the procedure, what I like to call the surgery that I was awake for. Wait, guys, we don't care. We're working here. Moved faster and faster and faster, and all of a sudden, the stuff's coming off faster. I see angels, I see light, I see colors we don't have that are beautiful, and smells like I've never imagined. Such purity, such clarity, such light, such life, such freedom from bondage I could not have imagined. And I saw the Lord doing this himself and saying to me all the things that he wanted to do in me, to do through me, just to do with my life, to do with just me. Just me. Just that invisible thing that was having this horrible experience that no one else gets to see. And he told me and showed me the most beautiful things, and none of it made any sense to me. I just knew it was beautiful. And none of the other stuff made any sense to me. I just knew it was awful. I knew it was awful. And all of a sudden this beauty won. And there was just nothing left except whimpering. Whimpering. Satan and his minions whimpering. Whimpering. Let me tell you something. I'm 19 years old, and I hear the devil and his minions whimper because Jesus Christ just came and kicked some ass. Let me tell you what that feels like. That feels like God came to high school and kicked ass on some bullies. You know what I'm saying? That felt like God came into every part of my life and fought for me and stood up for me and said that I matter. I can't tell you how profoundly important I think I am at 19 to have the devil and his minions and God and his angels ripping at me and clawing at me and mauling me for my eternal soul. Dang! I must be huge. I must be huge. Tell him that. Right in my face. He said, you're huge, all right. I'm just huger. And I knew that Jesus Christ was Lord. I knew. I met him face to face. People ask me all the time, why are you a Christian? I said, because I met Jesus face to face, and if it happened to you, you wouldn't argue either. Love to say this happened different. I'd love to say that my experience was just like anyone else's. It just weren't. It was the opposite of everything I had ever heard. I mean, there are a handful of people I've met that have what we like to call horror stories, but I saw it all. And I'm probably not going to have a baby in this life, but I hear that it's really, really bad and really, really painful. And then suddenly when it's over, it's really wonderful and totally worth it. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that here. It was close. But there was so much soothing. So much soothing. It was like everything in heaven, everything that exists in that place we hope for, every single entity was singing a separate lullaby, a soothing, healing lullaby on my behalf. That's all I can say. There was so much noise in all that. Gosh, there was so much noise. No, Paul had a great light go on in his life, and he was blind. I had so much noise. I thought I was going to be deaf. The loudest thing I've ever heard. Loudest thing. And I lost a big chunk of my hearing at a Kiss concert when I was on stage for it, and a flash pod went off right by my head. This was louder. It was deafening. Eternally deafening. And by the way, after all this, I didn't want to hear a thing as long as I lived. But that Jesus just kept talking. And he told me how much he loved me. And he told me that he was real. And he told me that I'd been created to serve him. And he told me that he had a plan for me. He told me he had a life for me. He had told me that everything I dreamt of just scratched the surface of his dreams for me. He told me everything I should have heard about him for 19 years and never heard. Everything. Everything. I can't tell you, the next time I read a Bible, I knew that. Yeah, yep, well yeah, I was there. Yeah, I knew that. He showed me everything. He showed me the cross. He showed me the disciples. He showed me what it felt like to be human when you were God. And he showed me what it was like to have to sit through humanity for thousands of years before he had a chance to act. He told me what it was like to be part of a Trinity and still be an individual. He told me over everything. Everything. I swear I got what I think happens when we die. One hell of a Bible study. Where you suddenly just get it all. Got so much at one time. And the whole time he was so wonderful at this point. And the devil was gone. The demons were gone. The pain was gone. The lullabies, the soothing, the love, the Bible study. It was so wonderful. I just wanted it to stop. Because all I wanted was for it to stop. My flesh couldn't take anymore. I couldn't take it. Couldn't take it. Okay, the best man won. I got it. You're God. That's bigger than Satan. I get it. What do we do now, Lord? And the next thing I heard was Pastor Dennis Easter saying, is there anyone here tonight that wants to receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? And I was like, yes! Yeah, hell yeah! Me! Anything, make it stop. And that was the first time in 2 hours my arms moved. And I heard my voice, and I saw my body move, and I saw my arms in the air, and I was like, oh, okay, we're good. And Pastor Dennis Easter walked up to the edge of the pulpit and said, young man, God is going to show you what being a real man is all about. Oh yeah.
He was a little late to that.
Oh yeah. I am telling you, I collapsed. I just leaned forward and cried. I cried. And he said, please tell someone. And I turned to Joanne and I said, you did it. You led me to Jesus. You really did this. You really did this. And I am going to live for him. Because I've seen him. And I'm going to serve him. And I'm going to give him every aspect of my life. And I don't care what people think. And I don't care how I look. And I don't care how I come off. This is the most important thing that matters. The only thing on earth that matters to me now. Let me tell you. Keith Green had a song called Radically Saved. I was radically saved. Radically. There wasn't much sleep for me anytime soon. And I was good with that because I was excited. I was happy. I was free. But I saw what I was free from. I saw what Jesus had to do to save me. And I made one fatal error that night that I've since lived to regret. I believed a lie. One lie I carried from that night. For most of my adult life, up to now, I carried. And that was, my sin must have been horrible because I had been horrible. That I really believed that the reason it was so different for me is because it had to be different, because I was so bad off to begin with. And that was a lie. That was a lie. 30 years later, ladies and gentlemen, all the people in the room and all the people in TV land, or all of you put together, haven't done half as much as I've done in this life wrong. Nobody's sin looks a whole lot better than mine. Nobody's sin looks a whole lot different. It all looks exactly the same to me. Because it's not about what we did. Not about who we are. It's about what Christ had to suffer to redeem it. And what I never understood that night, that I understand fully in my life today, is that's what he does for every single person who comes to him. That's the battle that takes place. That's what Satan does to try to keep people from coming to Christ. And that's what Jesus does to fight Satan. I was just privy to my experience. It was like going to the birth canal and remembering it. Everybody goes through it, or something like it. But most babies don't remember that stuff. And as adults, we have no idea what it was like. But I do know what it's like to be born again. Because I went through the birth canal. I went through the born again birth canal. I've seen it. I've seen the battle. I've seen I've seen the destruction of my sin in the face of a Lord who has bigger fish to fry than even being concerned with what those particular sins were. The only reason he showed them to me is because he was healing me of the effects of them. He never once said, look what you did, look what you did, look what you did. You did this to me. You put me on this cross. He never said that. He said, this is so complicated. This is so complicated. This has to be done for every single human being to redeem them once and for all. But I didn't understand that I was exposed to it, that I witnessed it, that I experienced it for any other reason other than I must have been really, really bad to start with. Now that I met people as bad as me, they haven't been through it. Now I know you can be just as safe without having 2 hours of 200 years of pure unadulterated hell, right? Thanks, Dana. Good sport. It was true, though. Really true. But when I see Christians waver, and I see them go, well, maybe it's not true. Maybe I can believe this. Maybe there's other truth. Maybe there's this and there's this. I'm like, you know what? It must be nice to have that luxury. Because I don't have any luxury in my beliefs. I don't have any beliefs. I've said this before. I don't believe in anything. I believe in the boogeyman. I believe in Santa Claus. I totally believe in the Great Pumpkin. 1 year, that story is going to end different. I know Jesus. I met him the hard way. I met Satan first. I watched Jesus annihilate Satan over my soul. That's all. But I've watched him do this for every person that's come to know him. And I've spent my life since then trying to teach people what it is he's really done for them, what he's really doing for them. I would like to say, I'm what, almost 35 now? I don't want to tell this story again. I don't want to relive this. The greatest night of my life that I don't want to relive. You understand? Enough's enough. I'm so glad I got to tell the story. So glad I filmed it for posterity. If that video is ruined, you're dead. And it just has to make it onto my computer, man. But seriously, this was a very private encounter with the most powerful things that battle over our souls. I think it's a great story, and I'd love to see it in a movie just after I'm dead. I would, if someone filmed this and did a story of my conversion, I would not want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I have to live with it. It's almost impossible for me to sleep with the light off. Because I know. Am I scared? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of Satan. I'm not scared of Satan at all. At all. Not in the slightest. I'm scared of people and what Satan does with people. Because Satan can only do so much, but people can do anything they want. Think about it. Satan can't really kill us, but people can. People can do a lot of damage. And Christians do the most because they know so little and talk so much. And I see this every day of my life, and it's no disrespect to anybody here. It's just simply go through the birth canal, and then let's talk about how Satan works. Let's talk about what Jesus did on the cross. But most Christians won't even read their Bibles. Most Christians won't get on their knees for real. It really hurts to pray on your knees, by the way. It really does. And I'm telling you, it hurts more now than it did at 19. But most Christians haven't cried before the Lord. Most Christians haven't been broken by the Lord. Most Christians haven't had their heart reconstructed by the Lord. And what's so painful for me, well, the levels of how painful it is are immense. But on one level, what's so painful is people annoy me. Just like if you know something that I don't know, like how to change a tire. If you try to teach me how to change a tire, you will be annoyed. You will be frustrated. They go like, God, how can someone so smart be so stupid? And that's the truth. So on a basic level, we know some people don't, and we don't get why they don't get it. That's very annoying, very frustrating, exhausting. Yeah. Ask my kids how many times I yelled at them about stuff when I was trying to teach them stuff. That's why I don't teach music. I have no patience. I have no patience. I'll pay for you to go get lessons, but don't ask me to teach you how to play. Gosh. On another level, it's so painful because people that don't know everything, who just walk around like they know so much, are very dangerous. They're dangerous to the body of Christ. They're dangerous to evangelism. They're dangerous to Jesus' entire existence. But I'm talking about on a personal level, they're very dangerous around me. I find them very dangerous. I find people who know very little, who think they know a lot, to be incredibly dangerous to be around. I'm afraid they're going to embarrass me, I'm afraid they're going to say something and I'm going to have to correct them and I'm going to be that guy. Or I'm afraid they're going to be manipulated by Satan and do something horrible to me, verbally or physically, or to my life or ministry. And this is what I've seen over and over again. Christians have done more damage to me than any other creature on the face of the earth, more than the devil. But the thing that makes it almost impossible for me to live and breathe, and is the only reason I live and breathe, is that this kills the Lord. How little His people know of Him and understand of Him. How little people even try to get past that. how unwilling we are to say we understand so little. Teach us, Lord. That the most exciting thing in my life, aside from seeing new people come to the Lord, is seeing other Christians come to the Lord. See the Lord for the first time, experience the Lord for the first time, or the first time in a long time, or in a brand new, better way. And that is the one thing I know happens here, is wherever any of us are at the Lord, including me. Anyone who knows me knows I'm just as surprised at how the evening went as anyone in the room is. Someone will say, God, that was a great sermon. Like, wasn't it? Wow, Holy Spirit was amazing. That sure as hell didn't come out of my mouth. You know, I was just here for it. I was just relaying it. That there's always something new to learn in the kitchen. And I'm not turning this into a church pitch. I'm just saying there really is. I see it every single time. I see it every time I sing. I see it every time I gather. Anywhere I go, I see something new in the Lord. The only reason I live and breathe is to impart that to others. People who haven't met the Lord, or the people who already know Him and need to be revived. Meaning, brought back from the dead, or just encouraged and everything in between. I am saved. I am saved. And when I look at other people's salvation experience, I have no idea how to judge it. I have nothing to judge it by. I don't think I had a fair chance in this. I don't know if I made a legitimate free will decision. If you know that, if you see Jesus and the devil, and you see Jesus kick ass on the devil fighting for your immortal soul, is that really free will at that point, that you just go with the winning team? I mean, seriously, I don't know. I don't know. That may be why I have so much doubt in the foundation of my salvation. Like I say all the time, I don't know you people that are like, oh, I don't care if I die, I know where I'm going. I'm like, gosh, what does that feel like? I kind of know what happens first, and I think I have to pass through that birth canal again. I'm afraid I have to walk through that again. But I know that I'm saved because, well, I got it easy. I know that Jesus is Lord. I know what resurrection looks like. I know that He will defeat the devil. And I know that it's huge, far huger than any of us can imagine what the battle really is. You know, sadly, we're just small players in a horrible, horrible, horrible circumstance. But we're small players, but for some reason God attributes so much importance to us. And He loves us. That Jesus would go through that over each one of us. That's the only thing. I think I'm special. There's no doubt about it. I reek of that, so I may as well own it. I totally think I'm special. I can't help it. I do. I'm so different than everybody, and I see it, and I have two choices. Embrace it or be ashamed. So, you know, unfortunately, I have to think I'm special. But the one thing that I learned from this over and over again is that He loves everybody like this. There's God. I knew that night. I knew that night. I was like, gosh, how do you have so much love? I get it for me. I get it for me because I am amazing, but all the people I don't like, all the people I hate, you love them just as much. How do you do it? Not easy being God, Paisley. It's just not easy being God. But He does. He does. So if you're here tonight, God bless you. You survived tonight. And pray for Joanne, because I don't think she's ever recovered. I'm serious. She still seems a little shell-shocked, doesn't she? Yeah, she does. She does. She doesn't really say my name. It's like Voldemort. The name that should not be named. So, but if you're here tonight, you've had a completely different experience than I have. And you had a completely different experience than the person sitting next to you and behind you or in front of you. And in TV land, no matter where you are, you've had a completely different experience than everyone else who sees this video. And if in any way, shape, or form I said my experience was better, then you weren't listening. My experience was painful and scary and devastating. And it set me apart for the rest of my life with no luxury of choice. Just like Paul. It was impossible for Paul to deny who Jesus was once Jesus pulled that stunt. Well, he pulled one on me. I knew who he was. I'd have to lie to make him not the Lord. I'd have to lie. But I saw what happens to liars. Because that's probably the worst thing I ever really was. You know, if you think about it, everybody has some kind of sin or, addiction or activity in their past before they come to the Lord. But the one thing we still do our whole lives is lie or try to lie. I met my father, the father of lies. He's one ugly dude, and he has horrible smell, and he has a lot more friends than he should, and they make a horrible racket constantly, just trying to drown out that beautiful, still small voice of the Lord. But I met Jesus, and he just burned his way through all that, just ripped it all up, tore his way through it, and said, "Howdy doody, I'm Jesus, now what do you want to do?" And the answer was, "Anything you say, Lord." Thank you very much.